Wrestling fans, the 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive explodes into Christmas with 12 featured superstar guests. We can't bring you a live wrestling event due to COVID restrictions, but we'll be bringing you a series of cyber signings and meet and greets. On Saturday, November the 14th, fans around the corner and around the world can join WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas for a live cyber autograph signing, as well as presenting his tremendous artwork here at MWF Studios. Get a personalized autograph from Tony signed live on the air and mailed to your home. Join us now through mid-December as the superstars help us continue our annual mission to update Santa Claus's GPS to find every kid's house this Christmas and put smiles on faces while honoring Paul Bearer's memory. VIP packages are still available. Don't worry if you've missed a live superstar signing. Every star is signing enough photos while they're in Boston to fill VIP packages through December the 19th. Whether for your wrestling collection or to give as a holiday gift, if you're going to take part in any toy drive this year, please help our 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive. Visit bostonwrestling.com and our social media platforms for complete event and toy drive information.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, before we begin, want to send out a sincere thank you for the service of all of the great veterans in the United States. We're not talking about those that worked the territories in the 70s. We're talking about the great men and women who put their lives on hold and in jeopardy to protect us and defend our freedom. So for that, you have our undying gratitude. It is a highly warm fall afternoon day here at MWF Studios in downtown Melrose, Massachusetts. The zip code of Champion 02176. We're talking mid-70s. When on the day before Halloween, we had 4 inches of snow, but I'll take this any day, any time. Believe me, folks. On the way here, I spoke to Boston Wrestling Sports Transportation Executive Hurrah, who doesn't think we'll see a day this nice in this area until May. Well, don't forget that following tonight's Raw review at 10 p.m., we'll have a brand new episode of Wrestling Insiders at Your House with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas shooting on the late Road Warrior Animal, a great tribute to our fallen friend Animal, who we expected to actually have with us this Saturday when he was booked on an event we were going to have November the 14th at Memorial Hall in Melrose before the world went insane with coronavirus. Tomorrow night at 10 p.m., we have a preview to the kickoff of Wrestling Insiders Rush Hour with recent WWE NXT Cruiserweight Champion Lio Rush. Great chance for you to sample the goods with myself and Leo, as well as the official kickoff to the 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive, which is this year turning into a cyber fan fest of sorts. We're also moving Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty Jannetty, to 10 p.m. on Thursday nights, and Fabulous Fridays after SmackDown on Friday night remains at 10 p.m. with John Cena Sr. The plan is to keep all of our television review shows at 9 p.m., all of our in-studio shoot interview talk shows at 10 p.m. to make it a little bit easier for all of you fine, and I do mean fine folks, to join us. It was a blast having Leo with us on Thursday, the first time our little buddy Lio Rush was in studio in 5 years. We taped a ton of great content you're going to be able to enjoy this fall and beyond. If you're a Patreon member, you can check out tomorrow night's offering now. To show what a great guy Leo is, en route to the studio after flying in, we picked him up at Logan Airport, and we made a pit stop to see the cyber schooling MWF Junior Ambassador Devon Brennell. Linda Mirade wouldn't let him come to the studio to meet Leo, so where Linda was at work, we brought Leo to him in the middle of a school day. How about that? Don't tell his teachers, kayfabe. The kid felt cool. His older brother, Brandon, used to be babysat at times by myself and former Raw and NXT Tag Team Champion Warband Hansen, Viking Raider Ivar now. Now the junior ambassador can say that he has had a former WWE champion come and visit him at his home. VIP packages for the 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive Cyber Fan Fest are flying. If you missed Leo's cyber autograph signing and interview last Thursday, don't worry. He signed plenty of photos and posters for VIPs that will be included in the VIP packages. The interview itself was fun. We also have individual autographed 8x10s signed in these beautiful paint pens available on BostonWrestling.com. Just click the graphic with Leo's face. It'll bring you right there. This Saturday night, WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas is back in studio live. We'll be taping Wrestling Insider episodes for your enjoyment during the afternoon. Then at 8 p.m., we'll be doing a very limited autograph signing where Tony will have his 8x10s and his artwork available as we talk to you great fans live. I think we're going to have a lot of fun Saturday night at 8 p.m. Running through the rest of the Paul Bearer Cyber Toy Drive schedule of appearances, former WWE Intercontinental and Tag Team Champion Marty Jannetty will be doing live cyber signings both Friday, November the 20th and during Survivor Series, Sunday, November the 22nd, as WWE prepares for its cough, quote-unquote, final goodbye to The Undertaker. We'll take a break on Thanksgiving weekend, then we explode into December with 8 great guests. Actually 9, as I'll get to in a moment. On Friday, December the 4th, we'll be joined by Savio Vega, also known as the martial arts expert Quang. Saturday, December the 5th, things are going to get a little nasty here at MWF Studios, as Brian Knobbs and Jerry Saggs, the former WWE and WCW Tag Team Champions, the Nasty Boys, join us in studio for the very first time, and this one, I'm really looking forward to it. Sunday, December the 6th, one of my favorite days of the year during NXT TakeOver, we'll be joined by old friend, WWE Hall of Famer, Bushwhacker Luke. The following Friday, December the 11th, we'll have the massive Warlord with us in studio. That's going to be great, even from a timing point of view. We've been looking a lot at 1988 recently in the World Wrestling Federation, and that's the time that the Warlord came to the company as well. Saturday, December the 12th, the man that held a 2-year undefeated streak in the WWF, the Native American Tatanka, proudly joins the Paul Bearer Toy Drive Cyber Fan Fest. And then we have a doubleheader on Sunday, December the 13th. First, we'll be joined by recent Ring of Honor Pure Title Tournament competitor, Wheeler Yuta, a young individual that competed here in Boston Wrestling MWF, came away with a victory over former MWF champion Slick Wagner Brown. And then the same night, we'll be joined by an old friend, the brand new Impact Wrestling World Champion Rich Swann. John Cena Sr. is slated for a live signing as well, the time to be announced. If any other superstars are added to our efforts, which there very well could be, they will be included in the VIP packages at no extra cost. Keep in mind, fans, the early bird pricing for the VIP packages ends on November the 15th. Save yourself a little money. Get all of the great autographed merchandise, whether it be for yourself, whether it be to give as a great holiday gift. Be entered to win the big prizes that are up for grabs, plus you're helping the big picture. And the big picture is this: updating Santa Claus's GPS to find every kid's home, to create smiles and honor the memory of our dear friend, the late Paul Bearer, a man that was like a second dad to me, who we continue to miss every day. WWE Network released a great documentary on Bearer over the weekend. I've heard nothing but exceptional things about it. As we prepare to run down the results, the news, the views from the November 9th, 2020 edition of WWE Monday Night Raw underneath the Thunderdome at the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida. Let's give our friends and fans a chance to join us, as sometimes it takes a few minutes for fans to start to pile in. Everyone's talking about voting. What a crazy election that one was, huh? But what about your vote counting with us? What do you mean by vote? Well, the numbers are in from October, and you great fans, again, after doing it in September, second straight month, you fine folks broke records across the board on our YouTube channel. From the bottom of my overworked, tired, angry, handicapped heart, I say thank you, thank you, thank you. We put forth a lot of hard work to keep the lights on and we continue to need your help very much. There are 3 simple ways you can help big time without it costing you 1 cent out of your pocket. We know everybody can't contribute financially to donations, super chats, merchandise, autographs, and so on. But one thing you can do is share. Share links to our videos across your social media platforms. Text your friends, email your friends. If you're more than 6 feet away from other people, yell it out the window. We need to grow our professional wrestling family even bigger to get to where we need to be to make our ultimate vision a reality. Wouldn't it be something if we had original talk shows like we do with Tony, Leo, Marty, and John Cena Sr. 7 nights a week? What if we got to the point where we could have 2 talk shows a night? If you look at how CNN and Fox News operate. Imagine if we had that many rotating guests coming in and out of this studio. The difference it would make in these wrestlers' lives, you have no idea. Having that extra income during the worst of times right now, with no live events and almost no personal appearances to be had for 8 months, it's all about you guys. The formula is very simple. Without professional wrestling fans, wrestling shows like this don't exist. The professional wrestling industry doesn't exist. So if you engage and interact with people that don't keep that in mind, you're wasting your time, in my opinion. Number 2, hit the thumbs up button. The more people showing love to this and all of our great videos, the more love YouTube shows to us in suggesting our videos to other fans. And number 3, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free, provides updates on new videos and access to well over 2,000 free videos. As always, we're very interested in your thoughts on last night's Monday Night Raw. Hoping the whole gang is going to be with us here. Slick Rick B, Tania, Maria Davis. She's very proud of her undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers. Maria, I'm sure you have an even bigger grin on your face than you usually do on social media. I'm sure Trigger Trey will puff in. We'll have Ken is usually a regular with us. All of the Kevins, Big Ant from the Thunder Valley, Will Cortez, Larson, Larson sometimes battles what calls itself Nightbot, which was the little bodyguard put in here to try and help navigate the live chat as far as putting information out and so on. It is not perfect, but we're trying to get it there. Whether you're watching the live premiere with us Tuesday nights at 9 or in the archives, share your thoughts on Raw using a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Or do I have some thoughts on that one? Now, at the very least, with the television commercials and online ads, it is unofficially Christmas season. If you want early ad-free access to all of our weekly Wrestling Insider and Studio Shoot interviews, our world-renowned Studio Shoot interview DVD series, and to simply help keep those wrestling legends working, folks, it's simple. Join our growing family on Patreon at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. I'm sure some of our Patreons will be in the premiere. Ask them what they think of it. For the price of a coffee over at Starbucks, enjoy what I believe is over 100 programs. You'll never have the professional wrestling blues this winter with Boston Wrestling Sports. We have several wrestling insiders that haven't become available online yet available. A Patreon exclusive episode with Marty Jannetty that you won't find on YouTube. Our big goal before the end of 2020 is to have 100 regular Patreons. With the quality and quantity of the shows we produce, I'm confident we can get the job done. Whether you enjoyed last night's Raw and want to create a little WWE mayhem of your own, or you feel like maybe you could do a better job than the WWE creative team, the brand new WWE 2K Battlegrounds game is available now. For complete information, head on over to WWE.2K.com/Battlegrounds. Little Mirade, who I mentioned earlier, that had that in-home visit from Leo Rush, our junior ambassador, Devon Brent, he says this is the best WWE video game that's been released over the past couple of years. And believe me, this is a kid that knows his video games, so check it out. Again, I've dropped the hint a few times. If any of you fine folks could lead old Dan Mirade on the path of finding a PS5 for him for Christmas, please hook a brother up. With the holidays coming up, it's never too early to start shopping on our eBay store. The link is in the description box below. We have an awesome collection of rare autographed wrestling memorabilia for sale that also includes A video shout out. Thank you from WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA Tony Atlas on Wrestling Insiders. We give you a thank you on his talk show for helping our shows going. How cool is that to basically interact with the Hoffer himself? Don't forget that Tony is available, especially for the holiday season, for commission artwork, prints, personal phone calls, cameo-style videos, autographs, and more. Finally, we have our WWE T-shirt bundle fundraiser going on at bostonwrestling.com/shirts.html. The link is in the description box below once again, if you cannot remember what I just said. For the regular price of a T-shirt on WWE Shop, we give you not only the T-shirt, but we give you a WWE Cup. We give you a mystery autograph photo, and again, you get that on-air shout-out from Tony Atlas thanking you. We have brand new T-shirts of Bray Wyatt, Undisputed Era, Roman Reigns, John Cena, Hulk Hogan, the Macho Man Randy Savage, Stone Cold Steve Austin, NWO, and tons more. Help our show and get yourself some new swag. And with that said, folks, joining me right now, Southwestern Connecticut's finest, Mr. Matt Degnan. All right, Matt, back in action again. We missed you over the weekend when I went solo doing 3 reviews all by myself, and we missed the full gear review as Dave Carter was busy in Hobbyland, but hopefully we're back to normal at our regular schedule now after what was a very memorable Thursday with the recent NXT Cruiserweight Champion Lio Rush.
Yeah, I had a nice ride back with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he fit?
Very. Yes, he did.
There was room in the Jeep, the WFAN for him.
There was room in the glove compartment.
All right, well. And then there's that, too. Well, we certainly look forward to the, well, I don't know if I'll call it the premiere. I'll call it the preview of Wrestling Insiders Rush Hour with Lio Rush tomorrow night at 10 p.m. We get ready for the first full-blown episode next Wednesday night. But back to the point of contention here, Matt. We enjoyed our time with Lio. Did we enjoy our time on Monday night from 8 to 11 is the question that remains.
I definitely did not.
All right, well, how do you really feel?
I wasn't happy with this episode, I'll tell you that.
All right, well, let's get rolling. I know your notes are as meticulous as your sock selection.
Week by week, I think my notes get smaller and smaller, but we'll see how they are tonight. Miz TV, hosted by Mr. Money in the Bank, The Miz, and John Morrison, with guest The New Day, kicked off Raw last night. But instead, WWE Champion Randy Orton interrupted before New Day could even make their way to the ring because he wasn't happy with Miz and Morrison, them saying they're going to cash in and all this stuff. And I guess Orton wasn't happy that Mr. Money in the Bank said he was going to eventually cash in, which is the whole shtick of the briefcase, but whatever. Orton then came into the ring. He seemed pretty hot. Orton was laying down the hammer on the mic to both of them. He said Morrison left WWE to go wrestle for the minor leagues. He said he didn't want Miz in WWE. He said it was I thought that segment was pretty good up until then. Then New Day came out and just to disrupt the bickering between the 3 men in the ring already. Randy hit an RKO on Kofi Kingston. Xavier Woods was thrown over the top rope by The Miz. Drew McIntyre then comes out to join the party, but then he gets laid out pretty quick by Orton, Miz, and Morrison. It was good up until the New Day came out. Then it got kind of all over the place. There's just too much happening for a 5-minute span. You know, the first 5 minutes, they didn't even do anything. They did the opening of the show with the little promo with the awful new theme music. They did a long recap video from the past 2 weeks of what's happened with Miz, Morrison, Orton,
very long,
McIntyre, New Day. And then it's just, they didn't do anything until about 8:05. To me, it's just a bunch of fast forward stuff that I've already seen. But I just, from 8:05 to 8:10, there was just too much bullshit going on. You know, it was okay with Miz and Morrison and Orton. That was fine on the mic. It was good entertainment. But then New Day came out, and they weren't that funny last night as they usually are. Then Drew McIntyre comes rushing out. As soon as New Day gets taken out, McIntyre's already in the ring. I don't know.
Well,
I thought there was too much going on for 5 minutes.
Randy Orton was great. The rest of it was terrible. Terrible, terrible. I like that Randy took a play out of real life when he talked about how many moons ago that the poor Miz had all of his suitcases and wrestling gear and was thrown into the hallway, thrown out of the locker room. That is a factual thing that happened. I think that was contributed to our dear friend, Mr. Layfield. And then Morrison, a lot of people look at him being unhappy in the company back in 2011 and leaving very good money to go and work in smaller promotions before finally making his way back to WWE after 9 years as lowering himself to go to be the big fish in the proverbial small pond. So there was a little bit of reality to what Randy said. I thought that part of it was good. Then, of course, you have to water that down. You have to have a good segment. Be pissed on making Kofi Kingston look like making Kofi look like a moron instead of what he is, which is one of the finest athletes in the history of WWE and a former WWE champion. Why kill his credibility in a company that has few stars with any credibility left anymore? But I guess some people got some jokes. I guess they thought they sports entertained people. I don't know what the ratings are. Giuseppe Scoops is usually the master of that, but I can't imagine that a lot of people enjoyed this opening segment when they were just made to make New Day, who are generally liked, look like even bigger buffoons than they usually do.
Yeah, you kind of reiterated what I said before, and we kind of have the same views. It was good up until New Day and McIntyre came out. You know, Orton was great on the mic, and Miz and Morrison are hit or miss. And I thought they were a little bit better tonight than they have been. And it's just typical WWE. Good segment, and then it gets ruined. But what are you going to do? The next segment, or the match, Riddle defeated Jeff Hardy and Elias in a triple threat match to qualify for the Raw men's team at Survivor Series. It was a solid triple threat match. As I said, Riddle, I didn't say Matt Riddle because they dropped his first name. Maybe I should just be called Degnan. I don't know.
Well, this is one of the few times I agree with them. That was the smart move to do that.
I don't think Matt is like Elias. He used to be Elias Sampson. I thought Sampson was kind of stupid, so I get that. But I mean, Matt Riddle,
the reasoning as far as why they changed it, it was the right call
with
as far
the
as that
lawsuits
goes.
And everything. Yeah, but I mean, the name Matt is probably the best name. Right?
Well, I don't disagree with you. In a perfect world, I would have rather seen him go by his full name like I would most talents, but I just think right now it's best to eliminate that.
Yeah,
it's better than him being eliminated altogether. So if I was Matt and I was upset about having the Matt drop from my name, I'd look at the big picture and that he's still employed with a very healthy paycheck. Yeah. As far as the match goes, I was beyond uninterested. I have no idea why all of these losers got a second chance to be put on a Survivor Series team that no one really cares about to begin with. And I guess that's that. I guess it leaves room for Jeff Hardy to continue his feud with Elias, maybe in a pre-show match at Survivor Series that no one has all that interest in. That is a guess. That is not an inside scoop. I'm just saying both men now, they're involved in this hot-blooded vendetta, neither one of them has anything going on at Survivor Series now.
See, that's the thing with WWE. Some of their ideas are kind of just not that good. And then, but bell to bell, it's pretty good. You know what I mean?
I had, and not to take away from what they did, I just zero interest in what was being presented to me. Just zero interest in that. I don't know why they give losers chances to enter into the team when there's other talents that didn't have a chance to try and get into it once.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
That's just you. I mean, yeah. I don't know. There's just not much to say. Good wrestling, awful idea, I guess you could say. Or
they tried hard. And I really get tired of saying they tried hard as a WWE stockholder that watches his finances go down as the stock goes down.
I think we try harder on our notes in this show than they do booking the Raw shows.
We do.
The next segment, R-Truth pinned Drew Gulak backstage to become the new 24/7 champion after the Hurt Business took out Gulak. I guess he was bothering the Hurt Business, and they beat him up. R-Truth came out of nowhere, pinned him for the 1, 2, 3, and that was that. And we're going to hear more from the 24/7 nonsense a little bit later in the show.
I don't understand why they waste their time with this. Drew Gulak, the way he's been presented, is barely memorable. They even remember who the guy is. He tries to get into the Hurt Business. Then when they go to attack him, he fell on the ground before they even touched him. It was absurd. And then they just make it worse by throwing the 24/7 title nonsense that absolutely nobody cares about into the mix in this segment. It's just, you wonder why it's a company with such little credibility and interest. Watch that segment right there, where you have some good talent with Lashley and Shelton and Cedric. You're wasting them with a goof, a jobber like Gulak on a title that's just a complete joke. With R-Truth, who may entertain the powers that be in the company. He might be a fun-loving personality, but you know what? It's just, why whip it out and piss on your own TV show, which is what they did with that segment, as they did many times during this show.
They whipped it out.
They whipped it out.
Yeah. The next match, Shayna Baszler defeated Lana. A match, just yet another segment or another match that nobody cares about. And that was the theme for tonight. Everything so far in this show, nobody cares about at all. The only thing that was somewhat decent was the first half of the opening segment, and the triple threat match was decent for in-ring quality. But Shayna Baszler and Lana, I guarantee you, I don't know how many people would want to see this match. What did you think of this barn burner?
It's just nothing. None of it made any sense. Why would anyone on Raw want to have their team members constantly fighting each other? And the same thing can be said for the men later on when we get to that point. But, I mean, why have these 5 women wrestling each other leading into the pay-per-view, where in storyline reasoning they could be injured? It just continues to defy logic, and it makes me just not want to watch it, because it's stupid, it's uninteresting. Lana has such little talent in the ring, it isn't even funny. Her offense was terrible. Shayna Baszler in the Herman Munster look, I guess that's great too, but I mean, they did nothing to make me want to watch their TV show. They did nothing to want to make me watch their pay-per-view.
Yeah, well, the only reason why I feel like they still employ Lana is because she's blonde, and Vince kind of has a thing for blondes.
Well, there's a lot of blondes in the world that he could employ.
Yeah. Not us, though. The next segment, AJ Styles cuts the same exact Oh, this just pissed me off.
Yeah.
The same exact promo from last week. It's basically the same segment from last Raw, but with Riddle being added.
Yeah.
He introduced everybody on the team, and the only thing that was different was Matt Riddle being in it. It's so lazy and so uncreative. It's just a slap in the face to anybody that watches. They don't care anything about these fans, and the intelligence that they think the fans have is awful. They think we just forget about every Monday Night Raw like it's a fresh new thing. Like, oh, they're not going to remember last week. We'll just do the same segment.
And it wasn't very good the first time.
No. And they did the same thing again. It led to another bullshit match after, in a tag team match between Keith Lee and Riddle versus Sheamus and Braun Strowman. Just awful. Awful. It just shows how creative they are, that they have to run the same exact segment for the second week in a row. All of these men ended up going back and forth arguing, which led to that tag team match I just mentioned, with AJ Styles as special guest referee. Garbage. I don't get why you'd want your entire Raw team going against each other less than 2 weeks before Survivor Series. For some reason, this company, every time Survivor Series is coming up, they have to have one of the 2 teams end up just fighting each other all out up until Survivor Series. And I bet you Strowman and Sheamus are going to end up eliminating each other Sunday at Survivor Series, and it's going to lead to them losing. I don't want to get into predictions, but it's so telegraphed the way they do things now, and it leads to nobody watching, and it shows in the numbers.
It was just almost identical to what they did in the segment before. So, again, I have to throw out there, why even bother? It wasn't good last week. It wasn't good this week. You involve Riddle, who's one of the better athletes in the company, if you watch anything he does except enter the ring, speak, and listen to his music. But you make him look like a fucking idiot with all the nicknames he's throwing out that no one cares about, that no one will remember. You have an argument going on about who's the captain of the team. What fucking difference does it make who the captain of a team is when the captain isn't even selecting who's on the team? I mean, again, as someone that owns WWE stock, this is mind-blowingly bad. It did nothing to make me want to see the match. It did nothing to make me want to see Raw. It did nothing to make me want to watch the pay-per-view. So why bother? It didn't get anybody over. It did absolutely nothing. Even the tease where the bodyguard got into the ring, they cut to a commercial, then they came back, and it was like that didn't even happen. It was like it was an illusion.
All right, that pissed me off, too. You got him in the ring, and they've been kind of teasing him getting in action the past couple weeks.
Everybody's waiting for that.
Or protecting AJ Styles. He comes into the ring like he's going to brawl with Braun Strowman, probably the two biggest guys in the company right now, and then they go to a commercial. It makes no sense. Keith Lee and Riddle defeated Sheamus and Braun Strowman via roll-up as Riddle rolled up Sheamus after Sheamus hit a bro kick on Braun Strowman to get him out of the ring, and everybody brawled after.
Everybody was brawling. It was wild.
Everybody was brawling. It was a pointless time filler match with too much shit going on.
And that filled a lot of time between those two segments.
That's what it felt like to me. It shows they don't care. It's not creative. It's just.
Well, you know what? I'm going to interrupt you, and I'm going to interrupt maybe a lot of people that have the same thoughts. I want to say this. It's not that these people that go to work every Monday don't care. It's at the end of the day when the final decision is made, wrong decisions are made. There are people that I'm sure they get frustrated. There are times they throw their notes that they feel are very good up in the air with what they may feel are some pretty good creative ideas that don't get implemented on the show, or they don't get executed the way they want them to. But this is a company of very hardworking people. It's at the end of the day, when it comes time for the final decision to be made about what's going to be on that TV show, the wrong decisions have been made, and that has been a point of contention, again, as I'll say, going back to the final bell at WrestleMania 17, when the decline began, that they still have not recovered from. 19 years.
Because they rewrote the show before Raw started yesterday. So that was one of the big things that they shook up the whole script.
Well, I would have hated to have seen the original version if the one they put on TV was this bad.
Yeah. The next match, Bobby Lashley defeated Titus O'Neil to retain the United States title. Oh, boy. A title match made by Lashley after O'Neil called him out during Bobby's promo. Another match made by a wrestler, and not even just a regular match, a title match, just handed out to Titus O'Neil, who doesn't do anything on WWE TV, and who's probably had not even a handful of matches within the past year. Just there's never any common sense, and that's part of the downfall as well. Why would these wrestlers make their own matches, especially for titles? It made no sense. The match was over within 2 minutes, if that, with an awkward tap out by Titus. I mean,
that's being generous.
Bobby didn't even have the full hurt lock in. And Titus looked like he was struggling just to tap out.
Titus looked like he was being raped. It was unbelievable.
I don't know what he was trying to do. It looked like he was a...
This was about as bad as it gets. I got to tell you, if you talk about the personification of nobody cares, that was what I thought when I heard Titus O'Neil's the whistle song play. I can't even remember, never mind the last time Titus did anything of any importance. What year was the last time Titus actually won a match? He is one of the worst regulars in WWE history. And I have watched this product weekly since 1986. Maybe Dino Bravo. I don't know. But Titus O'Neil is just terrible. Nobody cared. There was no buildup. There was no interest. It was a waste of Bobby Lashley, who won a match in seconds with a guy that was so awkward and so bad in the ring that he couldn't even get his finisher on him right. He's a nice guy. He does great community relations work. But how about interesting wrestling matches? Shouldn't that count towards your employment too? I know they released about 30 talents that could have taken that full Nelson much better than Titus O'Neil did back in April. I mean, not only did those 30 talents or so, they could have worked rings around Titus O'Neil if they had a leg amputated. Titus is so bad. I don't understand why he's on that roster if he cannot have a good match. Great, he's got good size, that's fine. I tell you, the best thing they've done with Titus O'Neil since he's been on that roster, when he was the manager for Tozawa, and he started the Tozawa Power chant. That was actually kind of fun. It kind of put a little bit of a focus on the cruiserweights. It did something with O'Neil, who had been around at that point 5 or 6 years. It helped get Tozawa much more over than he is right now, running around with little, PC student ninjas. And I don't know. I was glad it wasn't long, if nothing else.
No. The next match, Raw Women's Champion Asuka and Nia Jax ended in a no contest after all the women at ringside got involved, which included Shayna Baszler, Lana, Dana Brooke, and Mandy Rose. I felt like I was watching a Cody Rhodes match on AEW with everybody at ringside. This was a non-title match, by the way, if anybody was wondering at all.
I was a little concerned about that. Thank you for the clarification.
All the women brawled, and then Nia put Lana through the announce table for the 8th week in a row. Just, again, I was thinking about this. Raw just seems like a time filler for everybody. How many people do you see in 2, 3, or 4 segments? You had Nia in about 3 or 4 segments. You had Lana in about 3 or 4. It's just, and when I mean segments, I mean backstage interviews.
Sure. No, I know exactly what you mean. And you're right.
Interview. How many people do 2 or 3 interviews and sometimes even 2 segments out in the ring? I mean, how many times did we see Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre every Monday? At least 3 times, at least. And it's crazy because they don't have enough people to do this bullshit brand split crap. It's just
the money that and this comes from a WWE stockholder, the money that they're saving on the talents they released is not worth it.
No, and you could just tell they're trying to fill time. When you have someone like Nia Jax, who's on the show at least 3 times a night, you know they don't have enough people. It's just when you have people doing more than 1 match a night, just 3 or 4 segments, it's grueling to see the same exact people over and over. And it's not even like it's different segments every week. It's the same shit. Not this different people doing different things. The same people doing the same things, and it gets annoying.
The offense reminded me of during recess in elementary school when we used to have play wrestling matches on the playground. It was so bad. Some of Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose and especially Lana throwing in some of those Japanese-like kicks that missed by about 9 inches. But what more can you say? It's the reason why the audience is what it is at this point, which isn't much, and falling fast.
The best was when they fed Byron Saxton that line during the match. This is WrestleMania main event worthy. Yeah. I know they fed him the line, but I mean, come on, come up with something a little better to feed your announcers than this is a WrestleMania main event worthy match, please.
Well,
garbage.
I tell you this though, look at what followed up this. I know you don't like to go into the backstage segments, but look at what followed immediately after Big Nia going at it. Lana tossing again. You had the Angel Gaza promo where he talked about this woman that he's in love with and he wants to give the flower to. You're going to take a guy that I think has the potential to be one of their top guys for the next 10 years, and he's going to develop a crush on the 400-pound Nia Jax.
Again, it was the same exact thing. I have no
idea if that's what they're going to do. It's just, for someone that's seen so much of it, that's exactly where I think they're going to go with that. They're going to have this guy that could be a cool heel, a cocky heel, someone that you want to see hurt, and instead they're going to make you laugh at him by falling in love with a woman that's about 6 inches taller than him and about 200 pounds heavier, that looks like a package of hot dogs shrink-wrapped.
It's just, again, and it was the same exact promo from last week.
Well, he had a different color shirt on, I guess, so that made it different.
They probably still filmed the same thing twice last week.
If I was him, I actually would have liked that. If I could have had the night off, I said, I'll bring a couple of changes of clothes and just give me a couple of different promos to cut, and I'll be all set.
I mean, it was the same background, too. It looks like he was standing in the same exact spot, but I don't know. The next match, or garbage, a 7-way match for the 24/7 title between R-Truth, Drew Gulak, Grand Metalik, Lindsay Dorado, Tucker, Akira Tozawa, and Eric of the Viking Raiders. I'm not even going to mention every single title change that happened because who cares? But at the end of all this mess, R-Truth walked away with the 24/7 title. This was one of the worst segments I have ever seen in any wrestling company. It was just complete nonsense.
It ranks up there as amongst the worst of 2020, that's for sure. You have seven
I would
talents that no one is interested in and a title that no one is interested in. It didn't get any wrestler over. It didn't get the title over. It didn't get Raw over. It didn't get the pay-per-view over. So I just question to myself, why do you bother to put it on TV? It was just worthless. It built no new stars.
The only thing it got over was my fast forward button.
All right. Well, see, I watched it live, so I didn't have the luxury of the DVR.
I was watching the Patriots and Jets game. Who would have thought that Patriots and Jets would be better than Saints and Buccaneers on Sunday Night Football?
Unbelievable. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah. The next match, Mustafa Ali defeated Ricochet after making him pass out via submission. This is a very good match and one of the few, if not the only highlight of the night. This was actually Retribution's first win in WWE, believe it or not. This is the only highlight of the night. There was really nothing else that made me want to keep the channel on or not fast forward. In this match, bell to bell was good. The whole Retribution shit, I can do without. But they just have to ruin a good match, I guess. What did you think about it?
Well, I was really high on this. I thought it was a pay-per-view quality match with all of the boring, repetitive matches they have on Raw each week. I'd love to see these two wrestle each other several times over the next couple of months. I think it would be one of the highlights of the program. I really enjoyed what they did here. I'm not a fan of the Retribution storyline. I've picked it apart almost every time it's come up, how week after week after week they devalued it. But as far as what Ali can do in the ring and what Ricochet can do, I think he's one of the most underutilized talents in the company. I think he should be groomed as the Rey Mysterio for the next decade. I tell you, there was nothing to complain about in this match. This is one of the few things that would make you say, I'd like to see more of this.
Yeah, it was basically the only highlight of the night or anything that kept your eyes on the TV, which is pretty sad. But again, nothing you can do. The main event, Drew McIntyre and Raw Tag Team Champions The New Day defeated WWE Champion Randy Orton, Mr. Money in the Bank The Miz, and John Morrison in a 6-man tag match. It was an okay main event, nothing great. I'm not a fan of multi-man matches, but whatever. A question I had was, who is the New Day feuding with? The Hurt Business or Miz and Morrison? Again, it just seems like they're trying to milk out every single wrestler. Not even on SmackDown. SmackDown is fine. Raw is the problem right now. The major, major problem. You have guys feuding with multiple people in multiple storylines in about 3 or 4 segments a night. And that's what makes the viewer tired. When the viewer starts questioning, who are they feuding with? That's just a major red flag already, excluding everything else going on.
I guess the answer would be everybody. They're feuding with everybody. They only have 2 or 3 teams, and they're feuding with all of them. And that's the problem of when you have such a minuscule tiny roster to try and fill 3 hours with. I, again, will go back to a better time in wrestling during the Monday Night Wars. You had WCW. At one point, they had over 150 talents under contract, again, which was too many, never mind the airline bills that they had each week. But at the same time, you had such great variety to pick from, it was never boring until they got to the point where they only wanted to feature the same 10, 12 guys over and over and over again ad nauseum. I mean, got no one over in the process. But I just think WWE made a huge mistake in releasing all of those talents, even if they weren't doing much with them back in April. Just imagine if there were an extra 20 bodies on Raw and an extra 10 on SmackDown, how much fresher those shows would feel. And this comes from a stockholder in the company. I'd rather see them invest in the talent to make the shows feel more fresh, because they would make the shows more watchable, and I think, therefore, more wrestling fans might want to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows how much they need to fill time in these shows and how badly they need a. It's not even it's a 3-hour show every week, and it's so boring every time. It's the same shit every Monday. It feels long, boring, repetitive. There's nothing new. We want something new. Not new. Don't just throw out Retribution and say, well, this is new and good. Something that feels...
You want both.
Fresh. Yeah, we want both. New and fresh. And good, I guess. But I guess it's too much to ask for. What did you think of this main event match?
Well, I guess, believe it or not, I liked it more than you did. Randy Orton, he reminded me of Bad News Alan Coage at Survivor Series 88. He didn't want to tag in because he was pissed at The Miz threatening to utilize that Money in the Bank briefcase. You have 3 top faces selling for 2 heels, mid-card heels at that point, but at least there was a rhyme and a reason behind it. I was much more interested in seeing what they were doing with Orton and Drew to build up their main event title match next week than these pointless brand versus brand, champion versus champion matches that people aren't all that invested in because they just switch shows and they've done little to build up an interest in the actual matches themselves. And if you ask them in December who competed at Survivor Series in November, the answer is probably going to be, I don't remember. So you got November, December, and I don't remember.
Well,
one man's opinion, though. But I thought the match itself was good.
But that's the thing, you know, the last, half hour of the show, half hour or 40 minutes was about the best part. And a lot of people already tuned out at that point. So, I mean, you're really not grasping anybody with that. So, I mean, I will go into our grades now. I gave it a 2 out of 10. And that's, I mean, maybe go up to a 3 if I want to be generous. But I was generous last week with them. I'm not this week. Nothing was good on the show other than the last about half hour. And it's sad. What would you give it out of 10?
I think I'm being overwhelmingly generous, and I'd have to give it a 3. And that's only because of the last half an hour itself. The rest of it was atrocious. There's nothing about it that would make me ever want to watch it again if I didn't have a reason to. It was awful.
We don't have the viewership yet, so I can't even talk about that. But I can't see the viewership being that good.
Well, I mean, you know what? At this point, it's going to be a thing where, is it going to fluctuate a couple of 100,000 people each week? Yeah. I mean, is it really going to be good or bad? Not especially, because it's really not going to move the needle in any major way. If you look at some of the year-to-year declines, those are things to worry about, absolutely, because those were massive drops. As far as what you're going to see week to week nowadays, you're talking, what are you going to see? It might bump up a couple of 100,000. It might drop a couple 100,000. Is it going to fluctuate too much to the point where you're nervous and worried? No, not at all. I'm sure if it does, it'll probably tank around, what's on average now, about a 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, somewhere
about
in that range?
About 1.6, 1.7
yeah.
for Raw.
So, I mean, if it bumps up a little bit, is it good for the week? Sure. Is it going to change the overall picture of things? No, it's not going to change anything at all. It's not going to. And if I'll tell you this, if they have a bad week, if just say it nosedives into the 1.4, 1-5 range and they hit the latest lowest in the history of the show, is that going to be decimating to what they're doing? No, it's not really, because you know what? It's still, the game is within reach of what they're trying to do right now, which I guess is to at least maintain the plummeting that it has turned into over the past couple of years.
Yeah. I have a few news and notes here.
Oh, I can't wait for this. What do we got?
A couple announcements for next Raw. The Hurt Business, Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander, will challenge the New Day next Monday for the Raw Tag Team titles. This might be one I might see the Hurt Business sneak away with the win. Sometimes they tend to do these last-minute Survivor Series changes. Since it is the big brand versus brand, best of the best, the Sunday before Thanksgiving.
I think that would be a better call for the pay-per-view, but again, that's one man's opinion.
Yeah, we'll see if they call you, but the other match announced.
And I also think the match will be very good. They just did that out in Raw. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but when they did New Day against Shelton and Cedric Alexander, I thought that was a very, very, very good tag team match. That would really add. I think that'll add to next week's show. At least they've got a couple of matches booked on next week's show that should be at least technically sound if they run a lot of bells and whistles of nonsense surrounding it. But sorry to interrupt.
The next match announced for next week, which I would be shocked if it ends clean. Randy Orton will defend the WWE title against Drew McIntyre next Monday. You can almost guarantee the Fiend's getting involved.
He wasn't on this week, so yeah, that'll kind of set the plate for how next week's championship encounter is going to conclude.
I think the Fiend's going to get involved. Maybe the Fiend gets involved and costs Randy Orton the match at Survivor Series, but I don't want the Survivor Series matches having too much chicanery involved. I think Orton and Roman Reigns, if you exclude all the bullshit and all the distractions between Drew and Fiend and the Usos and everything, I think that could be a solid match. But I just really don't think it's going to end clean. If it does, if someone put a gun to my head and said, if this was nobody can get involved, someone had to win, I don't know. You might see Drew McIntyre get the title back. I don't know. But I really don't think it's going to end with the 1, 2, 3, or even a submission. But when was the last time Orton or McIntyre won via submission? But yeah, that'll probably be shoved right into the main event slot for some reason, because it has nothing to do with Survivor Series, the build-up. I'm just glad they're not doing the build-up like they used to, where both of the rosters invaded each other, almost like WCW.
Yeah, that's turned into an annual thing, too. The surprise is kind of taken away from it, so now they just fight amongst themselves.
The thing that I forgot to mention earlier is 4 out of the 5 guys on Team Raw were on SmackDown just a few weeks ago. Keith Lee was on SmackDown. He was on Raw. I'm trying to think. Yeah, Keith Lee was the only one that was on Raw.
Yeah.
Riddle was on SmackDown. Sheamus was on SmackDown. Braun Strowman was on SmackDown. And AJ Styles was on SmackDown, too. The only person that wasn't was Keith Lee. And he was even on NXT just about a couple months ago. So, I mean, you got a bunch of guys who, before the end of August,
have no true dedication to the brand.
No, they have no love for the red brand. So, I mean, it's just a mess. I don't know what else you can say about it, but it's just, I don't know. But that's it for my news and notes.
Well, that's why on Thanksgiving Eve, when the fans kick back, relax, maybe have a cold beverage before they get ready for the nice warm turkey the next day, and they can enjoy Survivor Series 1987 on the watch-along that we did a couple of weeks back, which will premiere on Thanksgiving Eve. For those that are looking for a friend, maybe a little companionship, like your dear friend Larson sometimes during the premieres, that's what we're going to do. We're going to pump up WWE Network, and we're going to relive the very first Survivor Series, which I have a chance will be much better remembered than what goes on in Survivor Series 2020. That is an educated guess. I don't know if it's true. but I'd put $1 down in Vegas to say so. And I had fun during that. I had fun. Instead of complaining, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that. Look at how we were able to pick apart Survivor Series 87, and the majority of it was pretty good.
Yeah, that's the thing. We sat through that whole thing. We really didn't say anything negative at all. Maybe here and there, a couple little dings and whatever. But, I mean, today you could sit there. You could pick apart 9 out of 10 things in one segment. You know, you watch something from the 80s and 90s, 80s more than the 90s, I guess you could say. There's not much to pick apart.
The only really compliment that I will pay is that I think in 2020, you have a roster of athletes that are much better athletes than those that were around in 1987. But you know, they have no credibility. They're utilized wrong, and nobody cares. Back in 1987, they might not have been able to do some of the outstanding physical things that the guys today can do, but you had a roster. If you look at that show from top to bottom, other than the women's match, I know you still have the boy crush on Donna Cristinello after watching it for the first time, but it was a roster of people where everybody on the show was over. If we do one for Survivor Series 1988, when thankfully they got rid of the women's match and they added another men's match, you had a roster of 50 guys, and just about every guy on that show was over to some degree. Even the undercard tag teams like the Conquistadors and the Young Stallions, the fans were familiar with. So I hope we get to do a Survivor Series 88 one, because I enjoyed the 87 one.
Well, we'll find out. But I don't know. Survivor Series has taken a dip, you know, from what it used to be back in the day. I think it's
Survivor Series has been dead for a couple decades at this point. But
that's what I'm saying. I don't even consider it to be one of the big 4 pay-per-views anymore.
Once they did away with the tradition of what the event was around the time of the Monday Night Wars is when it lost all its value. I believe they did a couple of giant multi-tag team matches, but they just watered it down so much after 97. In 98, they did that world title tournament. 99 was when Austin broke his neck, and I know they had to do that triple threat main event. So it kind of lost its tradition for a while. Then they went back to it. Nobody cares, but it was at a time when the popularity level, if you look at the attendance, if you look at the ratings, and such things, it just continued to go down anyway. So it's kind of hard to reinvent the wheel when no one's watching to begin with.
Yeah. I don't know. My voice is starting to get a little shot. I haven't talked this much in a few days.
Yeah, it's been a rough few days for you after you visit here to downtown Melrose, Massachusetts, in the zip code of champions.
And instead, I was dealing with my own personal problems in Southwest Connecticut. I haven't worn socks in a few days.
Wow. We'll talk about the blockbuster news coming out of Raw. Sounds like you need. I'm not even going to give him a cheap plug because Kevin O'Leary didn't send any more along, but it sounds like you almost need a couple of hits of that.
Oh, I need. I was taking a few hits of the Robitussin, I'll tell you that.
All right. Well, the Robitussin will do the trick too. Do we have anything more to add to the Raw review?
No, I don't. They didn't have much to add last. I think we added more than they added. But
all right. Well, wrestling fans, we are running out of time. Don't forget, at 10 p.m., we are just moments away from the premiere of Wrestling Insiders at Your House with WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas, remembering the late, great Road Warrior Animal, who was supposed to be with us this Saturday night at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts. You talk about disappointing all around there, not only to not have the event, but for Animal to pass away. And then again, don't forget, if you want Tony live, you're going to get just a little bit of that. Saturday night, 8 p.m., the Hall of Famer is back, and he's going to have some of his first-class artwork with him. It is going to be something.
It's going to be like the Louvre.
All right, so for my partner in crime, Matt Degnan, I'm Dan Mirade. We will see you for our next TV show review Thursday night when we talk AEW and NXT at 9 p.m. before Party with Marty at 10 o'clock. With Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll look at the world of wrestling in the 80s and 90s. You and yours, be well, stay healthy. Good night. See you at 10 for Tony. Wrestling fans, the 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive is here. Coronavirus has been the Grinch in preventing a live wrestling event from taking place in 2020, but November and December will bring you an unbelievable series of live television tapings, raffles, merchandise, and cyber autograph signings, including 2 all-inclusive VIP packages you're not going to want to miss out on. We'll discuss a little later in this video. Let's take a look at this all-star lineup of superstars headed your way for the holiday season. Recent WWE NXT Cruiserweight Champion Lio Rush, who's going to be co-hosting Wrestling Insider's Rush Hour, the miniseries, kicks off our 2020 efforts Thursday, November the 5th. Leo was the first to open his heart to our efforts to keep Paul Bearer's name alive and put smiles on kids' faces. Then on Saturday night, November the 14th, WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA Tony Atlas will be with us again, signing autographs, meeting, greeting online, as well as having his renowned artwork available. Friday night, November the 20th, Sunday night, November the 22nd, during our Survivor Series watch-along, former Intercontinental and Tag Team Champion Marty Jannetty will be with us live. When it comes to Marty, expect the unexpected. Early December explodes with brand new superstars coming to MWF Studios for the very first time on Friday night, December the 4th, during WWE SmackDown. Join former Intercontinental Champion and Nation of Domination member Savio Vega, with rumors that the martial arts expert Kwang may join us as well. On Saturday, December the 5th, batten down the hatches, former WWE and WCW Tag Team Champions Brian Knobbs and Jerry Saggs, the Nasty Boys, will be live in studio for what should be an extremely memorable taping and cyber autograph signing. Great chance to get one of the top tag teams of the 80s and 90s together. Sunday, December the 6th, we're going to have an NXT TakeOver watch-along with WWE Hall of Famer Bushwhacker Luke. From 1988 through 1996, Luke had a memorable run in WWE with a career spanning the globe since the 60s. Friday night, December the 11th, one of the most powerful superstars in the history of professional wrestling, the Warlord, joins us in studio, looking back at his big run in the WWF from 1988 through 1992. Saturday night, December the 12th, join us for a rare appearance by a superstar that was undefeated in the WWF for nearly 2 years, Native American Tatanka. We cap it off Sunday, December the 13th, with one of the future stars of professional wrestling, having competed here in Boston Wrestling MWF, more recently in the Ring of Honor Pure Title Tournament, Wheeler Yuta. John Cena Sr. is going to be taking part in a live cyber signing as well, and is working on recruiting even more superstars to join our efforts to update Santa Claus's GPS to find every kid's house in 2020. You never know who or what to expect as we work our magic to create smiles on kids' faces around the globe, around the clock. VIP packages are available now. Early bird pricing through November the 15th. It's limited to 50 fans. The VIP Elite package, that comes with one autograph photo of all 11 featured superstars, plus a bonus Kwang autographed 8x10. It also includes an autographed Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive 2020 11x17 poster, and a raffle ticket to win a package of WWE NXT 11x14 autographed posters, thanks to our friends at NXT down in Orlando. We also have a standard VIP package that includes one autograph photo of each of our 11 featured superstars, plus a raffle ticket to win a limited edition Drew McIntyre, one of only 36 WrestleMania 36 autographed 8x10 photo from our friends at WWE. If you're not interested in an all-inclusive VIP package, don't worry. Each superstar will be available for individual autographs. Mail order is also available for your own personal items. Don't worry, if you can't join us for all of the live cyber autograph signings that are going to be streaming online, your 8x10 photo will still be signed and mailed to your home. If you get a VIP package after a superstar's signing is already taking place, again, don't worry, they're going to sign plenty for the entire holiday season. Those that purchase individual photos, they'll be shipped right after the signing takes place. The VIP packages will be shipped in one giant package beginning December the 14th. We continue to miss the late, great Paul Bearer each and every day. His heart of gold continues to shine with our annual Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive efforts, and this year, again, will be no exception. 2020, it's been a rough year for all of us, But get ready for a season of Boston wrestling sports memories and legends while putting smiles on kids' faces. In December, that's what it's all about. VIP packages and individual autographs are available now at bostonwrestling.com.